Hi everyone, I hope you're well. Thanks for clicking on the video. I just got done watching episode 3 of The Last of Us. Let's just jump right into it. It's another 10 out of 10 episode. It was amazing. But if we're just going to review this for the quality of television that it was, it really is 10 out of 10. The way they make us feel for the two characters of Bill and Frank is absolutely fantastic. Like, it's just a roller coaster of emotions, from the highest of highs where you're just so happy that Bill and Frank have found each other in this world, to the lowest of lows where you're just heartbroken as to like some of the circumstances they're forced to find themselves in. But like I said, right before I jump into where my dislike for the episode comes, it really is fantastic television. Of course, it differs massively from the video game, and of course I'm a die-hard fan of the video game, so I was kind of disappointed in some of the alterations. Honestly, I was actually, like I said, I'm going to keep reiterating this throughout the whole review. It's a great episode, I really enjoyed it. But despite that, I feel like some of the changes they made, the main one being of course Bill's death, was completely unnecessary. I actually feel as though that circumstance, you know, when Bill and Frank decide to kill themselves, I actually feel like that would have been far more heartbreaking if they just had Bill not kill himself, right? Keep the guy alive. And that circumstance would be devastating for us as the viewer, right? To see Bill have to live on life without Frank after all of the context they had just given us about their relationship of damn near 20 years, right? That would have been far more heart-wrenching, right, to see Bill. And then we would never have missed out on all of the great moments between Bill, fucking Ellie and Joel, right? Because there are some great moments in the game that I actually feel like we've been robbed of, right, that we're not going to see in the HBO show now, and that's so disappointing. The moment where Bill saves Joel and Ellie initially, handcuffing Ellie, you know what I mean? Finding the stash of bills when Ellie and Joel are in the car, I guess that is something that could still happen in the next episode, I suppose. But what I'm saying is, it's just a shame that we're not going to get to see those moments now, and it just feels like I said earlier, it's entirely unnecessary. It's a shame for me in particular because I'm such a fan of Bill in the game. I liked what Nick Offerman brought to the role, honestly. While we're on that, actually, I feel like we have to give a round of applause to the guy, because I had no idea Nick Offerman was such a fantastic actor. He brought like this whole new dynamic to Bill, right, of having like this layer of vulnerability, and I really appreciated that in this story, especially with the story they decided to tell. It's very fitting. But man, I'm just so devastated. Why did they have to kill Bill? It was a great scene, the way they decided to do it, right? It was very romantic, as Frank put it, but it was also just so heart-wrenching. But entirely unnecessary in my opinion. Like I said before, I just feel like it would have even been more heartbreaking to see him live on without Frank. But something I always enjoyed from the game is that when Bill's story arc comes to a close, it's very open-ended. You know what I mean? Like, if you're someone who just plays the game, in the world of The Last of Us there, you know, Bill's still alive as far as we're concerned, right? And I always liked that. I liked the idea of perhaps Bill being reintroduced to the story further down the line. But I feel like that's very unlikely now. I feel like, especially with the rumours of The Last of Us Part 3 being more and more consistent, it seems more and more likely as the days go on, Part 3 is kind of inevitable. I just feel like the likelihood now of Bill being reintroduced, if that was ever a thought in Neil Druckmann's head to begin with, is just very doubtful, and that disappoints me because, like I said, I liked the idea of perhaps Bill being reintroduced. And now they've just completely dusted that as an opportunity, right? Bill's character is dead. There's nothing else he can offer the storyline now. And that's just such a shame to me as someone who loved that character so much, like I said. Also, for as great as this episode is, I really loved it. I'm going to feel probably quite disappointed if we get to the end of this season and parts of the story that I loved so much aren't dived into as deeply as I was hoping, right? Like, if they skip key parts of the story by the end of this season, I'm going to be disappointed that this episode, this story they decided to tell, took so much time out of what they were offering us, right? Like, I'm going to be disappointed if we get to the end of episode 9 and I feel like, oh man, I wish they fleshed out Henry and Sam's relationship more. I wish we had more with the hunters. I wish we had more in the winter period, right? I'm going to be so annoyed that this episode took up so much time if that's the case, because in a lot of ways it wasn't super necessary, like I've said a bunch of times now. If you guys have any thoughts and opinions on the episode, please leave a comment down below and I'd love to get back to you when I have the time. We're getting towards the end of the video now, guys, so if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more Last of Us content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.